Good morning everybody and welcome to the Town Hall meeting, answering your questions that you've been posting on the website for us to answer regarding the reopening of Regent International School and any questions you have related to the new rules and regulations. So I'm joined here today on the Town Hall meeting without a Town Hall with Mr. Flynn.
Good morning everyone.
The Acting Deputy Head of EYFS in Key Stage 1. Mr. Dobson.
Good morning everyone.
The head of Key Stage 2 and the new Key Stage 3, which we're very happy to welcome our children into this morning. And myself, Mr. Williams, the Acting Principal of Regent International School. So what I thought we'd do today is we've received these questions. Now you know that we've been working very hard. We've done training with the staff to make sure that everyone's aware of what they need to know to open the school safely, which we've successfully done this morning. So I'm going to see if you know the answers that the parents are asking. Does that sound okay? I'll help you out if you need any help, but I'm sure we'll be fine. So you're revised up, you're ready to go. Okay, so the first question I've got to ask you, this is a great question. Why is Regent International School able to open fully when others in Dubai are not? Mr. Flynn.
Okay, so one of the things that the KHDA asked us to do was to consider the parents' viewpoint on how to reopen. Now, when we asked our parents over the summer what they hoped the new school year would look like, nearly all of them responded that they wished for their children to return so that they could achieve some social development that's been lacking over the last few months. And as a school, that's something that's very important to us. And it's reflected in how the model has started from today, which the KHDA have approved, in that nearly all children in nearly all year groups are physically in school with the restrictions that are in place.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of planning's been done looking at the size of classrooms, how many children can fit in, the spacing between tables, the resources that children can and cannot use. A lot of work has been done, even looking at the, as you can see, the arrows all over the floor at Regent International School, making sure that people are going in one-way directions and that they are getting to their classrooms safely. Very well answered, Mr. Flynn.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. And as we have seen today, the majority of children are in school, which is great to see. And for those online learning, we've already been having live lessons with headphones, so they're actually in the class, but remote. Very interesting. So, Mr. Dobson, this is a question really that was asked a few days ago, but a very easy answer. When is or was the first day of school?
The first day of school was today, Tuesday the 1st of September. So the school was open from 7:15 and we had a very calm entrance to the school by all the children. They followed the one-way system impeccably and made their way carefully up to class and settled in very well. We've all done a walk around the school this morning. The classrooms are all industrious, the children were working brilliantly, they're following the social distancing, and we're also seeing some great interaction with the children at home who are learning online.
Absolutely, well answered. We've actually been thrilled as well with the support from parents this morning. It's been incredible to see that you've been entrusting us to let especially the youngest learners into school. We've been guiding them up to class safely so that we don't have adults in school that don't need to be. And absolutely no tears in Key Stage 1 on the first day of school. I think that must be an incredible record for everybody.
Everyone's settled very well.
FS still have groupings until next week. They're all very settled as well, so a very great start to the term. So I'll leave it up to you who answers this question. What are the new safety procedures in place?
Shall I start with Key Stage 1?
Yeah.
A good idea.
So in FS and Key Stage 1, the children are in their bubbles in the classroom. So the maximum class size for FS1, FS2 and Year 1 is 20. And those children are placed into two groups of a maximum of 10. When you come to Year 2 though, there is a maximum group size of 24. And instead of being in bubbles, those children are wearing face masks and are socially distanced in the classroom also.
Correct. So they don't need masks up to Year 2. Year 2 onwards, they do need to wear masks. And it's been amazing to see how those bubbles have worked this morning. Really, really efficient. Mr. Dobson?
In Key Stage 2 is very similar to Year 2, so the maximum class sizes are 24. All the children are socially distanced in every classroom. They've all got set places which they are staying in. The children are moving around the school very carefully. There's social distancing in the corridors as well as in the classrooms. They're all wearing face masks and they're encouraged to clean their hands regularly. And it's just making sure that they're aware of all the health and safety precautions that are in place. At that age, we encourage the children to take responsibility themselves as well, and the children have already shown us by the way they've entered the school that they can do that. It's been fantastic.
Great, yeah. Lots of routines being taught this morning around school. I've even remembered to sanitise as well. You know, they've the children have learnt all the new routines already. That was the priority. Now be careful. Yeah. Sanitise the sanitise bottle. So, of course, the children have gone through that this morning, what they need to know in order to access the school safely. Any desks that are used by children that aren't sat at their actual desk are all sanitised after use. Lunches and drinks when they're having those, the tables are sanitised before and after. But apart from that, excellent answers. Yeah, well done. What are the school timings? Have they changed?
No. The school timings have not changed.
Except for Key Stage 3.
That's the addition.
Key Stage 3 now finish at 3 p.m, whereas the rest of Key Stage 2 still finishes at 2:40, and Key Stage 1 finishes at 2:20, is that correct?
Oh, incorrect. Officially 2:30, but we have this little slot where between 2:20 and 2:30.
That's correct.
We know the parking is difficult in any school in Dubai, but so yeah, we have this flexibility. There's a little 10-minute window. But for the FS children, their timings have actually changed.
I was just going to make you lose a point there. Well done.
No, I did remember.
Well done.
You know, Mr. Dobson put me off with the whole 3 p.m. Key Stage 3 thing. That was new information in there. For FS, we have made a change. Because of the one-way system in place in the school for the pickup, all FS children will be picked up at 12:45 from now on. Okay. Hopefully, people with siblings who are in FS1 and FS2, hopefully it'll help them out a little bit as well, rather than having the delayed pickup time for those guys. And we'll see how that goes. We may well choose to carry that on for the next academic year completely. Yeah, again, it's just about minimising large congregations of people, and of course, if parents have got nowhere to wait, then we need to make it as easy for them as possible. So that's why that change was done, and well done. We nearly missed a point there. What additional mandatory equipment will children need to bring? This was in the books, the guidebooks that went out to parents, so everyone's aware, and I've got to say this morning again, a big thank you to the parents. Incredible to see pretty much everybody's got everything they need to start the school year, which is hard to remember on the first day when you've got all these new restrictions in place. So what do they need to bring? Well, we usually send out the communication at the beginning of the year to all parents anyway, for children to have a pencil case with pencils, colouring crayons, a ruler, those sorts of things. Now, of course, we have those things in school, and we have hundreds of pairs of scissors and things. But obviously now we're not able to use those with the children. So the children will need to bring the pencil case in on the first day, so whether they've come in today or whether they're joining us in a week or two's time, everything they need will need to be brought in, and it will be kept in school. It will not be returning home and to school each day. And for year 2, there is a new change with what children are going to be able to bring in, also including a device. So walking around this morning, a lot of children, nearly all children who are in school, are sat with an iPad, or other devices are available. But we do recommend getting a high quality device that will last for 2, 3, 4 years, rather than something which may be a little bit cheaper and having to be replaced more regularly and causing a bit of frustration for parents and the children. So the addition there, I suppose, is that they will be bringing their iPad for year 2. Normally, with the stationery, parents are quite savvy with the WhatsApp groups. Somebody will bring some in September and November, and then it's somebody else's turn later on in the year. Unfortunately, we can't do that at the minute. Children must have their own equipment. They cannot share anybody else's. Okay.
So in Key Stage 2, the main change is just to bring in a pair of noise-cancelling headphones as well. So at various parts in the class, the children will be working with groups with other children across the room, so that they use their noise-cancelling headphones so that they can communicate with each other and also communicate with the children who are working from home. Excellent.
Do you want to think about year 2 as well with that, so you don't lose a point?
For year 2,
they are bringing noise-cancelling headphones as well. I've seen them all this morning as well. Unfortunately,
did I lose a point for
you
that?
did. Unfortunately, this morning the children were already getting their own trays where they could keep their resources safely for their use, but also so that they could access them safely. So really, really good going on today.
Can I get a point back if I explain why they've got noise-cancelling headphones in year 2?
You can have half a point back, okay. And then you've forgotten some very important things. So we'll give you another chance for that as well. Go ahead.
Going well for me. So because of year 1 and 2, for those children who are online, they're going to have some social interactions to begin with, because again, at the start of any year, in any school, the children are developing new relationships with their new classmates and with the adults who work with them. So those children who are currently in other countries or who are choosing to stay online but are based in Dubai, we are trying to introduce them to their classroom and their new environment through some social interactions initially. And if the online learning period is extended for weeks or months, then the online learning will develop over time and become more structured with core subjects like English, Maths and Science, as has been the case previously. But our initial priority is to develop these relationships with all children. So that's why they're going to need the headphones.
Well done. Okay, you got your half a point back. But the reason that you haven't mentioned these things is they seem very obvious, and you know that children are bringing these in, but it is important just to outline.
So they're going to bring in their own snack and lunch, and they're going to bring in water bottles because there's no water fountains available around the school right now. So most children are bringing 2 water bottles, and obviously year 2 will be wearing their masks.
Masks. So at least 2 masks. Bring in a spare, because of course we all know these things can snap, and it's important that the children still have access to masks in school.
So I'm back up to the 4 points again.
You're back up to 4 points. I'm impressed. Apart from that, of course, PE kit when it's needed. That's pretty much it. So well done, both of you. Well done. That was good. It was good. You're still on 4 points, Mr. Dobson. Are there any changes to uniform?
This mainly relates to Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3.
It does.
So in Key Stage 2 we usually have a tie. However, the children do not have to wear a tie anymore. And in Key Stage 3 they will be wearing blazers and ties. However, we are dispensing with the blazer and tie at the moment. The reason is the same for both items. It's due to the fact that they're not items that are washed regularly within most households, whereas shirts and trousers are washed every single week. So the chances of them carrying the virus for a long time are very small, whereas there is a chance with a blazer and a tie. So we have dispensed with those for the time being.
Yeah, and that is the extent of it, so that's fine. Will my child, we've answered this briefly, but let's just make it very clear, will my child have to wear a mask all day?
Yeah, it is most of the day, apart from when obviously they're eating their food. What we're asking the children to do in year 2 is to lower the mask rather than removing it when they're eating, because otherwise they're going to be placing it somewhere which is going to be potentially contaminating a surface, or them potentially getting their mask contaminated. The PE lessons, our plan after speaking to the PE department is the children will place 1 loop of the mask around their water bottle so it doesn't come into contact with the surface anywhere. If parents want to send something in like a plastic bag which the mask can go into, then that will be an option also. But if there is nowhere for the mask to go, the mask will be lowered for food times, and then it will be secured on the water bottle during a PE lesson.
Yeah, and again, those children in FS1 and FS2 and year 1 do not need to wear masks in school. Seen some very jazzy masks around school.
Yeah.
I've seen the mermaid ones, Spider-Man ones.
I've seen the Batman one as well.
Yeah. It's very impressive.
We probably need to invest looking at this. Like,
yeah, I think.
Pretty average mask game, right?
Well, I keep going up to children saying, "What a great mask!" But I think they're talking about mine, and I'm obviously not. I've even seen children do little designs.
Yes.
Yeah.
In year 1, the children are drawing love hearts and things. That's fantastic.
Really good
I
idea.
asked someone to make me one, but they refused as well.
It's not very nice.
No, we need to work on that.
That is. Okay, so we've answered quite a few of these so far. This has been answered to a lot of people, but obviously, where possible, will my child be with their friends in class?
Yes. When we've looked at class allocation this year, obviously it's been very different in terms of the timeline to normal. Normally the re-enrollment of children is much more set before the summer, and we're working off different information. Now, we understand that everyone's situations are very different right now. We've had families who thought they would have to withdraw and leave the country and transferred all their bank accounts to their home country, actually come back and return to us and re-enroll their children. And that's fantastic. We're obviously very privileged to work with these families for a long time, and some of you have been with us for many years and multiple children with us. But that has caused a little bit of a delay in terms of class allocation and the numbers on roll in each of the year groups. And we are continuously working even now this morning to react to that situation. So we want to make sure that we get it right for as many people as possible. There are some year groups that were filled up over the weekend, and we have reacted to that and are adding classes to year groups where there is the need for that. And that's continuously being monitored right now. However, we don't usually have to be doing that sort of thing at this time of the year because the situation is a little bit clearer. Okay.
Quick question, Mr. Dobson. What's the maximum class sizes? And I want FS and year one in this one as well.
Well, FS in year one would be 20.
Yep. 2 pods of 10. Yeah.
Year 2 to year 8 is 24 each class.
Excellent.
And that is different. We, as a school, would usually try and stay with those numbers. There has been occasions where if the class allocation was a little bit different before, where we might have increased those numbers slightly by 1 or 2, but we are not allowed to do that at the minute. We are restricted by the social distancing. And that's a conversation that I've had with many parents. If the fees were paid very recently in the past few days and their friends, their child's friends rather, are in one class, those classes are full. There is nothing we can do at this current moment to change that situation. We can't add anyone in. We can't swap them for someone who's doing distance learning. Those things are currently set as they are to keep the children safe as possible.
We've got the same situation in Key Stage 2 where a lot of the year groups are now full and classes are full that unfortunately if parents are joining the school now, we have limited choice where children can go. So we have tried to make sure that the children are in class with their friends where possible, and then we're spending a lot of time and energy over the next couple of weeks making sure all children develop new friendships within their new groups, which is an extremely important skill anyway. So that's a key focus for us over the next couple of weeks.
Will my child be in one place all day?
Yes, nearly all day. Currently the guidelines permit the children to move around the school for a PE lesson. Obviously they can use the bathroom facilities when needed, but that would be the limit of their movement because they are not able to use the canteen, which we no longer have anymore because the children are not allowed to gather and eat together. Assemblies will continue, but not in person. They will be delivered via a video call to the classrooms. The children will stay in the classroom and the people leading the assemblies will be on their screens in the classroom. They're not allowed outside to play at the minute, partly because of the temperature. Anything above 38 degrees, the children are not allowed an outdoor play. The air quality is now a factor and has been for a while as well. So we hope to get more guidance on it as the temperature cools, what a potential outdoor play would look like in the coming months as Dubai cools down and goes into winter, which we do have winter here, guys.
Slightly.
We do have winter. But any information as it changes, the KHDA is an official line of communication, as is the Dubai Health Authority. Okay.
I had a year 4 now, boy come in this morning and say he was upset because he couldn't go on the pitch. I said, well, you would not normally go on the pitch this time of year anyway, and then he was fine. So it's just about remembering that, yes, there are changes, but some of the things that seem like restrictions are actually things that are in place normally anyway. Yeah. We wouldn't particularly recommend that FS children are going off to specialist classes in the first couple of weeks regardless, so that doesn't change, and they will be able to use those specialist classrooms as the time passes, as things become clearer, and as we learn as well as a school. So the specialist classrooms are set up beautiful, ready to go, socially distanced, but at the moment we just decide in a couple of weeks just to see how things go. So a question about the soft start. We're a little bit late on that. The soft start was great. I've never seen so many happy Regent families, and that's saying something.
Can we just say as well, thank you for all those people who came in on the soft start and expressed a tremendous amount of gratitude for the teachers and for us as leaders and for Regent as a community, not just as a school, but all of our families who looked after each other during distance learning, who stayed in touch with each other via video calls, WhatsApps, and once it was safe to do so, perhaps even met up socially distanced in parks when they'd reopened and things like that. One of the things that sets Regent aside to other schools is the fact that we are based within a community, and when we have our international days and community events like the Cinema Evening, that's when it really feels like a special place to be, and it's something that our parents talk about a lot, and it's one of the reasons why people stay with us for so many years. And so thank you to all of you for everything that you have done during this time also.
Absolutely. It's like I always say, when I moved out here, I was always told you won't know the children's names, you won't know the families, and I think anybody who knows us knows that's certainly not the case here. We are a community school, and that's helped us pull through this together, supporting each other throughout, as always. In year 7 and 9, will my children be set for learning?
No, the children are in mixed ability groups in year 7 and 8, as they are throughout the whole.
Absolutely. Throughout the school. Absolutely. There's a question here very briefly. Why will my child need to bring a device every day? Mr. Flynn already went over that, but just to be clear, it's so that in lessons where there are children who are online learning as well, they're able to access and be part of the school community and work in groups, and they're able to access flipped learning, which was taking place before this regardless.
Also can I just add in?
Of course you can.
In Key Stage 2, so that we can still mark children's work. This is a valid concern raised by parents about teachers marking different children's work and cross-contamination. We're actually going to be taking pictures of the children's work. The children will take pictures of their work and then upload it to their own notebook within OneNote, and then the teacher will mark it online so that it cuts out any.
So I'm just going to go through a few quick questions now that can be answered very, very quickly. Will my children be able to socialise with other children within the bubble? Of course they can, as long as they keep to that 1.5 metres distance. And again, when they go outside to play, they will be able to obviously do that within the first few weeks, as we've just discussed. Will PE be going ahead? Yes, it will. Very excited about it, but no shared equipment, and the curriculum will be adapted to ensure that children still get the rich variety that they're used to. Will creative lessons still be possible? Yes, of course there will, and there's loads of different ways that this was explored during term 3 last year, so I'm sure our parents are very aware of this. But obviously looking at digital art as well as a means, but also the fact they brought in their own stationery means they can still continue with the creative aspects of the curriculum without having to share resources. So that's absolutely fine. Will prayer rooms be open? Currently, it's mandated by the government that the prayer rooms will remain closed. Students needing to should bring their own prayer mat and store it in their lockers. But obviously we'll keep you updated with any announcements that come regarding that when we hear from them. Will external after-school clubs go ahead? Eventually they will, and there's starting to be guidance coming out by the KHDA and the governments regarding how we can implement them, but at the moment for the start of the year they will not be going ahead, as they are not allowed to start in line with the start of the school year. Will bus transport is still going ahead. It's going to start from the 6th of September. And we've got a capacity of 50%, masks, gloves, temperature checks, all the rest of it will still be expected on arrival. Lunch, what is available? Now you said that they're bringing their own packed lunch. There is also an option from Cater where they are going to allow children to order online. They will then deliver it to their classrooms.
Yeah. So on the buses, the FS buses start on the 9th.
Of course. You've just answered an FS question. You get the golden star, Mr. Dobson. I'm very impressed. How do you feel?
I didn't know there was a golden star.
I didn't tell you there was. It's come out.
At the beginning.
No.
How do you expect me to know?
I'm really sorry about this. You can share it. You can go for it. I'll tell you what. I'll come to you at the end with a question that I think is very important, and we'll see if you can get the golden star. It's not actually a question that the parents have asked. I've got a question that I want to ask you.
Well, that's a platinum star then.
It's gold. What do I do if my child has a cough, cold or fever? Stay at home, inform us, learn online, and obviously we're quite happy to give you any advice that you may need if you need to contact the school regarding that. But it's very important that if you have any of these symptoms, you stay at home. What happens if a person in my child's class or bubble tests positive for COVID?
Okay, well currently the whole class would have to quarantine.
Correct.
For 14 days. But that may change depending on whether the children are tested or not. With the advice that came out over the weekend regarding children who have travelled and the quarantine for those children, there was a little bit of misinterpretation maybe of the guidance, is that all children who travelled must have a 14-day quarantine. But actually the option of a test a negative result of a test would reduce that time in quarantine to maybe a day or two, depending on the timeline of the testing. So currently, that is a situation that the whole class would have to isolate and quarantine for 14 days. However, there may be the option to take the PCR test and return a negative result and rejoin the school. But that's again something to come from the official guidelines from the DHA or the KHDA, and any information that we receive officially will come through our social media channels as well, which you can follow. And any communication that you are going to be getting should be from either those official channels or ourselves. Please do not take the word of a WhatsApp group during this time.
It's very, very important.
Just to add in there, so if we did have to close the class for 2 weeks, the learning would still just continue online.
Yeah. And looking at it today, it's as smooth as it could be. Okay, thank you very much for your answers. I've got one question that I'm going to send to Mr. Dobson, and then I've got the Golden Star question. Okay.
Which we're all waiting for, really.
We're all waiting. So this is why we're still watching the video. So,
still an average question.
If I opt for my child to work online at home, how will this work? What will it look like?
So in Key Stage 2 and in Key Stage 3, we'll use the same platforms that we've been using for a few years, which is Microsoft Teams, Microsoft OneNote. The children will be taking part in the lessons live, and they have already been doing that this morning. So at 8 o'clock I walked into one of my Year 3 classrooms to see all the children that were learning online on the interactive TV, and they were taking part in a session where they were deciding the class rules, and they're actually including some online rules as part of the class rules. So the children will take part, they'll follow exactly the same timetable as the children in school, and they will be able to see their friends, they'll be able to communicate with them, but it will all be done through Microsoft Teams, the children's work being uploaded into Microsoft OneNote. In Key Stage 1, they're using Seesaw, which we are also using initially in Year 3 as the children transition from Year 2 to Year 3, and then live lessons are being conducted via Zoom, is that right?
Yes, most likely. They'll begin as social interactions initially, because that will mirror the learning that is going on physically in school anyway. And then, as I said earlier, over the course of time, if the online period is extended for weeks and months, then the formality of those online interactions will develop so that they appear to be more like the lessons that are going on in school. One of the things that is slightly different, and I did mention it earlier, is that many of the children in Key Stage 1 who have opted for online learning are in other countries currently. So one of the considerations we've had to put in place for our parent community is that we plan these live interactions later in our day, so late morning or early afternoon, so that those children who are around the world can access the same opportunities as the children in the classroom.
Excellent. That wasn't the Golden Star question.
Well, the answer
So,
it was.
You did, but I did come up with a rule there, so that's fine. So, and maybe you want to chime in as well,
Whoa,
Mr.
sorry.
Dobson.
No,
He won't get a
that's
Golden
fine.
Star. He won't get a Golden Star.
Okay.
But for me, I think there are certain challenges that children are going to face this year. What do you think the biggest challenge children are going to face, and how do you think Regent International will help them overcome this?
I think the children are probably the ones that will adapt the best, because children always do. And after walking around this morning, I'm more reassured than ever. I walked around FS, Key Stage 1, and got up into some Year 3 and 4 classrooms as well just now. And the children have come in and it feels like normal. Okay, things look a little bit different. The restrictions in place are a little bit different. But the children are back in the school, which is what we were all hoping to happen. And it feels like a school again. And in terms of what's going to be difficult, I think is that things will change. And what it looks like today will not look the same in a few weeks or a few months. And that's obviously the case for every area of Dubai and the UAE and the world right now, is that things will hopefully improve, the restrictions will reduce, but we don't know that yet. But we're doing everything that we can to follow that. Now, in terms of the learning for EYFS and Key Stage 1, as any school does, as I said earlier, we are going to focus on this social development of children initially. So it will look a bit different to Term 3, where the children already had established relationships with their friends and the adults in the room. The teachers need to spend time knowing the children, and the children need to spend time getting to know each other again. And that's the one thing that I don't think will be difficult, but it's something that's going to be different to what we had done previously in Term 3. And as the learning in Term 3 developed over the course of time, and We spent time on the phone to many parents discussing what was working or what wasn't and what could be achieved and what couldn't. We'll be doing the same thing over the next few weeks, especially for the younger children, because we don't want to depend too much on the technology if we don't have to. The older children for Key Stage 2, who have been using OneNote and Teams for many years now, and very well I must say, is that their online learning is not that much different to their in-class learning. They're still able to access the same information for lessons, the same support materials. They've got feedback instantly from the teacher. Those are the ones who are probably the most similar, whether you're online or at home. For us in FS1 and FS2 and Key Stage 1, it's going to be a little bit different, because at that young age, it's the social development which is an absolute priority, and it fits in with what we do with positive education and developing the character strengths of the children whilst they're with us in school. It's not impossible to do it online, but it is a lot more difficult, and it takes longer. Even things like reading someone's reactions in a face, or seeing how puzzled they are by a question that's been posed, that's a clue for a teacher that you might need to go back and revisit something, or you might need to check again, or ask in a different way even. These things are done very quickly in person. They're not achieved so well online. One last element is probably going to be the technical difficulties that children who are not so used to using some of the software applications in the same way as they have done before. But that's something we all need to be a bit patient with. We need to help each other with. Again, we are a community. We will help one another as much as we can. Golden star, surely.
Well, I think you were going for the platinum. So what I'm going to do, excellent answer.
Anybody in the audience? Golden
Well, what
star?
I'm going to say golden star, definitely. They can comment below if they think it's a platinum star. Okay?
Okay.
So let's do that. So let's see what the comments
There are
are.
only two options available,
So
right?
you've got a gold star, that would mean you're tied with Mr. Dobson. You get a platinum star, depending on what the parents say, then you...
No bronze star, no
There's
silver.
no result right now.
Okay.
There's no result right now. Yeah, don't worry, if they say anything, you've got a platinum star. It's not that you're going to go down a star.
It means they watch this video for that long.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I think that one of the challenges that I thought children were really going to face, and I've talked about it extensively to you two, is social interactions, and that children are going to feel that they're not going to be able to connect with their friends. I have to be honest, that's kind of gone out the water this morning.
Yeah.
What I've seen is incredible, the way that they are able to interact with each other, and this has been a long time for these children. You've got to consider, you talked about lower school, when you're talking about children who are 5 or 6, 6 months is such a large percentage of their lives, that they have adapted to this normal, and it's not even new anymore. And so to see them interact with their friends, happy smiles, you can see through their eyes that they're smiling. It's a new way of reading people, and I thought this was going to affect the children, but in fact they've come back happier than I've ever seen them. We talked about the way they came into school this morning, something to be very proud of, and I'd like to finish just again by thanking you, the parents at home, for making that a possibility, because the way that you have supported us as a school, and the way that you've supported your children to make them feel that they can come into school confidently and happy on the first day of term is something that is invaluable. It's meant that we're hitting the ground running on the first day. Like Mr. Dobson was saying, I don't know if this is happening across Dubai, but straight away, 8 a.m, we've got literacy lessons taking place in Key Stage 1. We've got an English lesson again taking place in Year 4. We've got a French lesson taking place in Year 7. And for that to be possible is because of your support. So thank you so much. Thank you very much, both of you. We'll see what the results are, of course.
Of course.
And SLT are here to answer any questions that you might have. You know where we are. We're very approachable people, I think. Yeah. So come in, give us a call, and we're more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much for joining us today.